Namaskar, good evening. It's 9 p.m. and you're watching the news with me, Bhawna Nayar. Over the next half an hour, we'll inform you how India is aggressively pushing on the path of self-reliance in the field of defense, as well as the important decisions taken by the cabinet today. And after badminton, India is setting new records in boxing and all the glitterati from Cannes Festival. All this in the next 30 minutes. Let's get you the headlines first. Cabinet allows more feedstocks for production of biofuels, advances ethanol blending target by 5 years. PSC is empowered to divest subsidiaries fully or partially. Supreme Court allows reservation for OBCs in Panchayat elections in Madhya Pradesh. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh welcomes verdict. India successfully tests DRDO developed indigenous naval anti-ship missile from seeking 42B helicopter. President addresses joint meeting of both houses of Jamaican Parliament, highlights areas of cooperation in diverse areas of trade, railways, agriculture. Relief and rescue work continues in flood-hit areas of Assam. More than 4 lakh people affected in 26 districts. Torrential rains in Kerala, orange alert for 7 districts. Let us now quickly look at more important stories of the day. Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil BAIJAL resigns, citing personal reasons. Uttar Pradesh Cabinet decides no new madrasa will be given a grant by the state government. Kerala Assembly to host first ever National Conference of Women Legislators in Thiruvananthapuram on 26th May. External Affairs Minister S. JAISHANKAR to address BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting in China via video link on Thursday. VAISHNO Devi Yatra battery car service suspended after forest fires and shooting stones in Trikuta Hills. HUNAR HAAT has given employment and self-employment opportunities to over 10.5 lakh artisans, says Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi. Ahead of G7 finance ministers meeting, US and global development banks unveil multi-billion-dollar plan to address global food crisis. Russian soldier facing first war crimes trial since the start of Ukraine conflict pleads guilty to charges of killing a civilian. Debutant Nikhat Zareen enters final of Women's World Boxing Championships in Istanbul. Manisha Mon and Praveen Huda settle for bronze. Kerala to launch OTT platform Space on November 1st, offering film lover movies, short films and documentaries of their choice. And now news in detail. The Union Cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi approved amendments to the national policy on biofuels. It has advanced the target of blending 20% ethanol in petrol by 5 years to 2025-26 and allowed more feedstocks for the production of biofuels. Currently, 10% ethanol is allowed in petrol. The Union Cabinet also empowered the Board of Directors of Public Sector Enterprises to take decisions on closure, disinvestment of units and their subsidiaries. The decision to dissolve a company or its subsidiary company will now be able to be taken by the company's Board of Directors. Moving ahead, the Navy successfully test-fired the first indigenously developed anti-ship missile from a seeking helicopter. The test was conducted at the Integrated Test Range in Odisha's Balasore. The Indian Navy conducted the test in collaboration with the DRDO. The launch comes a month after the Navy and the Andaman and Nicobar Command jointly test-fired an anti-ship version of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin on Wednesday met AG Perarivalan after the Supreme Court ordered his release in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. A.G. Perarivalan was convicted in 1998 for the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. While ordering the release, the Supreme Court used its power under Article 142 of the Constitution. It said the Tamil Nadu Cabinet had in September 2018 recommended his release to the governor. It said any delay on the part of the governor to decide on the exercise of powers under Article 161 to grant pardon, remission of sentence, etc. is subject to judicial review. Pirarivalan has been in jail for more than 30 years.
As a prisoner, he was very satisfactory for the court, so it's a main reason for his release. There is no need of any remand back of the petition, so they have taken a call of releasing him.
So will this order be helpful for
Yes. It will be benefited by all the six.
In news now from the nation, Hardik Patel, the working president of the Gujarat unit of Congress, resigned from the party on Wednesday. He posted the resignation letter sent to Congress President Sonia Gandhi on Twitter. He said he had resigned from the primary membership of the party. The Supreme Court has granted bail to Indrani Mukherjee in murder case of her daughter Sheena Bora. Indrani is the main accused in the case. The bench said the hearing of the matter is not likely to be completed soon. Indrani Mukherjee had been launched in the BAIJAL women's prison in Mumbai since her arrest in August 2015. The CBI arrested a close aide of Karti Chidambaram, son of Congress leader P. Chidambaram. The probe agency arrested Bhaskar Raman in the corruption case linked to visa approvals. The CBI had also conducted searches at Karti Chidambaram's house and office. The UGC extended the last date for submission of research papers for MPhil and PhD by 6 months beyond June 30, 2022. The period for submission of research papers will be decided on a case-to-case basis on the basis of review of the work by the Research Advisory Committee and the recommendation of the head of the department and supervisors in each case. 108 million tons of wheat has been produced in the Rabi season 2022-23. The procurement from Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Himachal Pradesh has benefited 16,99,000 farmers. The minimum support price payment totals rupees 36,412 crore. Daily COVID cases touched 1,829 new cases on Wednesday. In the last 24 hours, the number of patients under treatment has gone down to 15,647. The national rate of recovery is 98.75%. The Supreme Court on Wednesday allowed OBC reservation in local elections in Madhya Pradesh. Hearing the review application of the state government, the Supreme Court upheld the report filed by the State Backward Classes Welfare Commission. For urban body and three-tier panchayat elections, a maximum 35% seats can be reserved within the limit of 50% reservation. Orders have been given to the state government to complete the process of reservation within a week. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan welcomed the decision. The Committee of Ministers constituted to review GST on casinos, race courses and online gaming has finalized its report. This will be placed in the next meeting of the GST Council. The group of ministers headed by Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma unanimously decided to increase the tax rate on these services to 28%. Currently, there is 18% GST on casinos, race courses and online gaming. India is ready to partner with Jamaica and share its technical skills, knowledge and expertise to transform education and business in the Caribbean country. President Ramnath Kovind said in this address to a joint sitting of both houses of Parliament of Jamaica. The president expressed the hope that mutual cooperation between the two nations will prove beneficial. He said India is in sync with Jamaica's Vision 2030 and seeks to empower its people and ensure a prosperous and sustainable economy.
India and Jamaica are natural partners in many ways. As strong and vibrant democracies, as countries which seek ethical market practices, and as countries with respect for an inclusive, equitable, stable, secure and rules-based international order, it is logical for us to work together. This is all the more important when the global order is in a flux and tensions are on the rise in many parts of the world.
Moving ahead, relief and rescue work has been stepped up in the flood-affected areas of Assam. More than 4 lakh people are affected in 26 districts of the state. 8 people have lost their lives. Around 40,000 people have been shifted to relief camps. Dima Hasao, Hojai and Barak valleys are the most affected by the floods. Meanwhile, the Northeast Frontier Railway is working vigorously to restore rail services in South Assam. 50 to 60 places in Dima Hasao district have suffered extensive damage. Addressing the inauguration ceremony of Anant Bajaj Retina Institute from Raj Bhavan in Tamil Nadu via video conferencing, the Vice President underscored the need to raise awareness among people about the importance of eye health.
Community awareness is critical in a rural setting, and therefore awareness programs must be organized at community levels by healthcare institutions and NGOs periodically. Friends, modern lifestyles and work requirements have increased the average screen time for many people. But spending too long looking at screens can create strain on our eyes and cause other eye diseases. We must educate our children about the excessive use of the screen.
India is standing on the threshold of becoming a world leader, asserted Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Wednesday. Addressing students of Lawrence School in Nilgiris, Tamil Nadu, he emphasized that the future of both the students and the country are linked.
Nation a strong, stable, peaceful, prosperous, happy nation. That is our aim. So my idea of interacting with the youth is to tell them the need for such a journey.
Slipping into a short break here on the other side. Pollution deaths increasing across low and middle income countries. All this after this short break. You stay tuned to Sansad TV.
Glorious journey of India's 75 years of independence, protection of rights, ensuring equality, to empower, to deliver justice. Laws that have defined India and its people, laws that everyone should know. Watch 75 years, laws that shaped India. With me, Hemant Batra, only on Sansad TV.
Why does diplomacy matter? And how does it impact the common man? How did this happen? And what can be done to repair this important relationship? What is new in our foreign policy?
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news. Let's now get you all the latest developments from the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine has alleged that Russia is holding more than 3,000 civilians from Mariupol. It's said that the civilians from Mariupol are at a former penal colony in the Donetsk region of eastern Ukraine, according to Ukrainian human rights official. Finland and Sweden formally applied to join the NATO alliance on Wednesday. The accession process is expected to take only a few weeks. Still, an approval of their applications by all 30 current NATO members, with some of them requiring approval from their parliaments, could take up to a year. Turkey is the only country to voice strong objections to its entry in NATO. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will meet Turkey's foreign minister in New York following Ankara's objections to Finland and Sweden's bid to join NATO. Turkey's President Erdogan has said that neither country should bother to send delegations to Ankara to try to persuade Turkey to approve their membership applications. The European Union intends to mobilize up to $315 billion of investments by 2030 to end its reliance on Russian oil and gas. The investments will include 10 billion euros for gas infrastructure, 2 billion euros for oil, with the rest for clean energy. Brussels was also proposing higher legally binding EU targets for renewable energy and energy savings by 2030. Russia's foreign ministry is expelling 34 French diplomats in a retaliatory move. France kicked out 35 Russians with diplomatic status in April as part of a broader wave of expulsions that saw more than 300 Russians sent home from European capitals. Human Rights Watch said that the Russian forces who occupied areas around Kyiv and parts of Ukraine's northern Chernihiv region subjected civilians to summary executions, torture, and other grave abuses. HRW claimed that it investigated 22 apparent executions in a visit to the formerly occupied areas of some of its staff in April. The Russian army has lost 27,900 soldiers since its invasion of Ukraine on 24th February, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said. In March, NATO estimated between 7,000 to 15,000 Russian troops had died within the first month of the war. Last week, Ukraine announced that 501 members of its National Guard had died since the invasion started. And some other global updates in this quick wrap. The World Bank has given Sri Lanka $160 million as aid. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe stated that in the Sri Lankan Parliament on Wednesday. He said a grant is also expected from the Asian Development Bank. He said the possibility of using part of this aid to buy fuel is being explored. And some other news from across the world. British inflation surged last month to its highest annual rate since 1982, pressuring Finance Minister Rishi Sunak to offer more help for households and the Bank of England to keep raising interest rates despite a risk of recession. Consumer price inflation hit 9% in April, surpassing the peaks of the early 1990s recession that many Britons remember for sky-high interest rates and widespread mortgage defaults. Britain has high inflation of Europe's big economies and almost certainly in the group of 7, with Canada and Japan yet to report April data. The Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency met with Japan's Trade Minister on Wednesday. The talks came on the same day Japan's nuclear regulator approval plans by the operator of the wrecked Fukushima nuclear plant to release its treated radioactive wastewater into the sea next year. There is still concern in the community and the neighboring countries about the potential health hazards of the release of the wastewater that includes tritium, a byproduct of nuclear power production and a possible carcinogen at high levels. The United Nations chief on Wednesday launched a 5-point plan to jumpstart broader use of renewable energies, hoping to revive world attention on climate change as the UN's weather agency reported the greenhouse gas concentrations, ocean heat, sea level rise, and ocean acidification hit new records last year. Flight data indicates a China Eastern Airlines plane that crashed in March was intentionally put into a nosedive, according to US media reports. Investigators have so far not found any mechanical or technical faults with the jet, the reports say. The Boeing 737-800 was flying between the southern Chinese cities of Kunming and Guangzhou when it crashed. All 132 passengers and crew on board died in the crash. Data from a black box suggested that inputs to the controls pushed into a plane into a near vertical dive. A recently dismissed employee at one of the Iran's largest state-owned financial conglomerates embarked on a shooting rampage at his former workplace in western Iran, killing 3 people and injuring 5 more before killing himself. Some of the injured remain in critical condition. The suspect was not immediately identified. Not much was known about the motive or circumstances, but reports said that it happened after his dismissal. North Korea on Wednesday reported over 2 lakh new cases of fever and another 6 deaths as leader Kim Jong-un accused officials of immaturity and slackness in handling the escalating COVID-19 outbreak ravaging across the unvaccinated nation. The army was mobilized to fight the virus. Here's the report.
North Korea mobilized military medics to combat COVID-19 in the capital, Pyongyang. State television on Wednesday showed a ceremony for them at the Ministry of National Defense compound. It was nothing short of a call to arms against the virus, with rows of men dressed in camouflage uniforms with Red Cross armbands. Leader Kim Jong-un ordered his soldiers onto the streets on Sunday after the explosion of virus cases last week. The television footage showed the men in slow motion, jogging to trucks and then driving through the streets of the city, cheered by civilians and other soldiers. The country has announced 238,000 new cases of fever and another 6 deaths on Wednesday. Since April, there have been 62 deaths and more than 1.7 million fever cases. At least 691,170 people are in quarantine. The army medics are deployed to supervise the supply of medicines. North Korea has long suffered from a shortage of medicine. Most people rely on traditional Korean remedies. North Korea has so far refused offers of COVID-19 vaccines. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Bad air quality and toxic chemicals are major contributors to poor health globally. A new report by an international group of environmental campaigners and scientists have focused on year 2019. It concludes that pollution is the biggest driver of death and disease caused by environmental factors. Take a look at this short report.
Pollution in all its forms claimed 9 million lives globally in 2019. A Lancet Planetary Health study says that air pollution alone caused 75% of these deaths. Leading this death toll are low and middle income countries. The Global Alliance on Health and Pollution says that between 1990 and 2009, deaths in these nations increased by 61.4%. And between 2009 and 2019, the increase in deaths from pollution in these countries was 24.7%. In comparison, in high-income countries, deaths associated with pollutants from urbanization and industrialization has fallen by 7.9% between 1990 and 2019. The cause of pollution-related deaths in the low and middle-income countries vary. At least 1.8 million deaths are attributed to toxic chemicals. This increased by 66% since 2000. Another big source of exposure to toxic chemicals is adulterated spices. It is seen in very spice-rich countries like India, Bangladesh, Morocco, and Georgia. The adulteration involves adding lead chromates or lead salts that lend a beautiful yellow or red color to the spices. Lead pollution, even though every country has banned it from petrol itself, kills 9 lakh people a year. The study says death due to air pollution from cars, trucks, and industry has also been rising 55% since 2000. That increase is offset by fewer pollution deaths from primitive indoor stoves and water pollution from human and animal waste. Overall, pollution deaths in 2019 are about the same as 2015. India and China reportedly led the world in pollution deaths with nearly 2.4 million and almost 2.2 million deaths a year. The study concludes that 92% pollution-related deaths and the greatest burden of pollution's economic losses are all occurring in low-income and middle-income countries. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
The 75th Cannes Film Festival kicked off on Tuesday with an eye turned to Russia's war in Ukraine and a live satellite video address from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Let's hear Zelensky's message to the star-studded Cannes audience.
The Ukraine conflict is to be a regular presence in Cannes, where the festival has barred Russians with ties to the government from attending this year. The festival is set to screen several films from prominent Ukrainian filmmakers. After tributes and musical numbers, Ukrainian President Zelensky was streamed live for the formally attired audience gathered for the premiere of the zombie comedy Final Cut. Zelensky called on filmmakers to confront dictators as Charlie Chaplin satirized Adolf Hitler. The Ukrainian president drew a thunderous standing ovation and spoke at length about the connection between cinema and reality. He referenced films like Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now and Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator as not unlike Ukraine's present circumstances. Quoting Chaplin's final speech in The Great Dictator that was released in 1940 in the early days of World War II, he said, "The hate of men will pass and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people." The Ukrainian president told filmmakers not to stay silent while hundreds continue to die in Ukraine, the largest war in Europe since World War II, and show that cinema is always on the side of freedom. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Now all the action from the world of sports. Starting with boxing, Indian boxer Nikhat Zareen breezed into World Boxing Championship final with a dominating victory over Brazil's Carolina de Almeida in Istanbul today. Zareen completely dominated her rival for a 5-0 in the 52-kilogram competition. Manisha Mon in the 57-kilogram and Parveen Hoda in the 63-kilogram category lost in their respective semi-final bouts. These two will have to be satisfied with the bronze medals. Nikhat Zareen will have a shot at gold in the final. In badminton now, Kidambi Shrikant, seeded 8th in the BWF Super 500 Thailand Open, has reached the second round of the tournament, winning his first round match 18-21, 21-10, 21-16 in 49 minutes. Fresh from playing a major role in India's historic Thomas Cup triumph, the ace shuttler had a tough 3-game win over Brice Levedis of France in Bangkok today. In cricket now, Sunrisers Hyderabad held on their very slim hope of making it to the playoffs of IPL 15. In an exciting match of the Indian Premier League, Sunrisers Hyderabad defeated Mumbai Indians to continue dreaming of a last 4 spot. Batting first, helped by an attacking innings of 76 by Rahul Tripathi, Sunrisers reached 193 for 6. Tim David's blistering 46 off 18 balls had shifted the momentum towards Mumbai. But his run-out turned the tides again, and Sunrisers held on their nerves to win by 3 runs. Mushfiqur Rahim has become the first Bangladesh batsman to reach 5,000 test runs. He beat Tamim Iqbal in the race to reach the landmark. Rahim achieved the feat on the 4th day of the first test against Sri Lanka being played in Chattogram. Tamim, who retired hurt on 133 on the 3rd day following cramps on his back and wrist, could not add any more. His score today is currently at 4,981 runs. Rahim scored 105 in Bangladesh's first innings of 465. Liverpool have taken the Premier League title race down to the final day of the season by coming from behind to win 2-1 at Southampton. Jurgen Klopp's side knew defeat would hand the title to Manchester City, while even a draw would effectively end the challenge because of their inferior goal difference. City will still retain their title with victory over Aston Villa, but Liverpool have pushed them all the way again and ensured the fight will go down to their wire. Before we wrap up, let's look at the headlines once again. Cabinet allows more feedstocks for production of biofuels, advances ethanol blending target by 5 years. PSE is empowered to divest subsidiaries fully or partially. Supreme Court allows reservation for OBCs in Panchayat elections in Madhya Pradesh. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh welcomes verdict. India successfully tests DRDO developed indigenous naval anti-ship missile from Seeking 42B helicopter. President addresses joint meeting of both the houses of Jamaican Parliament, highlights areas of cooperation in diverse areas of trade, railways, agriculture. Relief and rescue work continues in flood-hit areas of Assam. More than 4 lakh people affected in 26 districts. Torrential rains in Kerala, orange alert for 7 districts. That's all we have in this bulletin. To keep yourself updated, keep watching Sansad TV. Good night. Namaskar.